For 3 long days, a helpless dog was trapped deep inside a dark well with no food, no hope, just silent cries. When rescuers finally pulled it out, no one expected what happened next. Its heart-melting reaction stunned everyone and brought even the toughest to tears. This is a moment you'll never forget. Before we continue, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us tell more amazing stories like this one. Don't forget to comment where you are watching from. If you love sweet and exciting stories about people and animals, you're in the right place. Now, let's get back to the story. The peaceful afternoon was shattered by a sound, a faint, fragile cry rising from deep within the earth. Little Tommy was playing near the old abandoned well when he suddenly froze. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. Was it just the wind? The trees swayed lazily, their branches murmuring secrets to the sky. But this sound was different. It carried pain. It carried fear. He hesitated, then took a cautious step forward, the dry earth crunching beneath his sneakers. Holding his breath, he listened. Then it came again, soft, desperate, almost begging. A whimper, weak but filled with suffering. Someone was trapped down there. Someone needed help. Tommy's throat tightened. He crept toward the well, his small fingers gripping the jagged stones around the opening. Slowly, he leaned over, peering into the shadows below. The darkness swallowed everything, but he could feel something staring back. "Hello?" he called, his voice barely above a whisper. Silence. The wind sighed through the trees, sending a shiver down his spine. Then, another sound. A broken, pitiful whine, so faint it nearly disappeared into the breeze. A chill raced through Tommy's body. His eyes widened. It wasn't a person. It was a dog. A dog was trapped at the bottom of the well. His hands trembled as he stepped back, his mind spinning. How long had the poor thing been down there? No food, no water. Alone in the cold, endless dark. He imagined it shivering, too weak to cry out any louder. He had to act. Fast. "Don't worry!" Tommy shouted, his voice cracking with urgency. "I'll get help." He spun on his heel and ran, his legs moving before his thoughts could settle. His breath came in short, panicked gasps as he sprinted toward his house. Every second mattered. Every moment counted. He had to save that dog before it was too late. Tommy ran as fast as his legs could carry him, his breath coming in short, frantic bursts. His heart pounded, fear gripping his chest. "Mom! Dad!" he shouted, bursting through the front door. "There's a dog in the well. It's stuck. We have to help." His parents, startled by his urgency, turned to face him. His mother placed a hand on her chest. "Tommy, slow down. What are you talking about?" "A dog!" Tommy gasped. "It's trapped in the well. It's been down there for days. I just know it. It's crying. Please, we have to hurry." His father frowned, exchanging a worried glance with his mother. "Are you sure, Tommy?" "Yes." "Please, Dad. It's weak. We have to do something before it's too late." Without hesitation, his father grabbed a flashlight and a sturdy rope from the garage. "Come on," he said, already heading for the door. Tommy and his mother followed, running toward the well as fast as they could. As they approached, Tommy's ears strained to hear the whimpering again. It was softer now, weaker than before. His heart clenched. What if they were too late? His dad knelt at the edge of the well, shining the flashlight into the darkness. The dim beam cut through the gloom, revealing a frail, trembling figure curled up at the bottom. It was a dog, dirty, exhausted, and barely moving. Tommy's throat tightened. "We're coming, buddy," he whispered, tears stinging his eyes. "Hang on." Tommy's dad shone the flashlight down into the well. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing a small, shivering dog at the bottom. Its frail body was covered in dirt, its fur matted and soaked. The poor creature curled in on itself, as if trying to disappear into the cold, damp stone. Its ribs were faintly visible, and its breathing was shallow. Tommy's heart squeezed painfully in his chest. The dog's eyes, filled with fear and pain, met his, and at that moment, Tommy felt a connection, a silent plea for help. His throat tightened. "We have to save it," he cried, gripping the edge of the well. His dad nodded, his face serious. "This is too dangerous for us alone. I'll call the fire department." He pulled out his phone, his fingers moving quickly as he dialed. "They have the right equipment. They'll know how to get it out safely." Tommy bit his lip, watching the dog struggle to lift its head at the sound of their voices. It let out a weak whimper before resting its head on the cold stone again. Tommy reached for his mother's hand, holding it tightly. "Please let them come fast," he whispered. The idea of that poor dog suffering for another minute made his stomach twist. How long had it been down there? Days? Had it been waiting for someone to notice? His mother knelt beside him, stroking his hair gently. "They'll come, sweetheart. They'll help." Tommy nodded, but worry gnawed at him. Time was slipping away. Would the rescuers make it in time? Would the dog survive long enough to be saved? Minutes stretched endlessly, each one weighing heavily on Tommy's chest. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the road, his breath coming in quick, uneven gasps. His fingers clenched into fists at his sides. What if they were too late? What if the dog didn't make it? Then, at last, a distant wail of sirens. Tommy's heart leaped. The faint red and blue lights flickered between the trees before bursting into full brightness as the fire truck roared down the road, tires kicking up dust as it screeched to a halt. Before the vehicle had even fully stopped, the doors flew open, and a team of firefighters jumped out, moving with urgency. Their heavy boots thudded against the ground, their uniforms gleaming under the flashing lights. "Where's the dog?" one of them asked, his voice steady but serious. Tommy's breath hitched. "Down there!" He pointed toward the well, his hands trembling. His voice cracked as he added, "It's really weak. Please, you have to hurry." A tall firefighter in a thick jacket and helmet stepped forward, gripping a flashlight. He knelt at the edge of the well and shone the beam inside. The light cut through the darkness, revealing the small, frail figure below. The firefighter took a deep breath, his face grim. "We have to act fast," he announced. "That dog doesn't have much time. It's severely dehydrated and exhausted. If we don't move quickly, it might not make it." Tommy swallowed hard, his throat dry. He squeezed his mother's hand as his voice came out in a desperate whisper. "Please, save it. Please." The firefighter turned to his team. "All right, let's go in," he ordered, his voice firm. "Let's bring this little guy home." A brave firefighter named Jake stepped forward, tightening the straps on his harness. His face was calm, but his eyes were focused with determination. "Lower me down slowly," he instructed his team, adjusting his helmet. Tommy held his breath as Jake grabbed the rope. The other firefighters secured their grip, making sure everything was in place. Then, with careful precision, they began lowering him into the well. The beam of Jake's flashlight danced along the stone walls as he descended. The air inside the well was damp and cold. The little dog whimpered at the sudden movement above, but was too weak to do much else. Its small body barely stirred. Jake's boots touched the ground, and he crouched beside the trembling animal. "Hey there, buddy," he whispered, his voice gentle. "I know you're scared." but we're going to get you out of here. Just hang on." The dog lifted its head slightly, its eyes dull with exhaustion. Jake reached out a steady hand, careful not to startle the poor creature. The pup flinched at first, but when Jake gently stroked its muddy fur, it let out a soft, tired whimper. Above, Tommy leaned forward, straining to see. "Is he okay?" he called anxiously. Jake glanced up. "He's weak, but he's still holding on. We need to get him out now." He carefully secured the dog in a special harness designed for rescues. "All right, guys, lift us up," he shouted. The rope creaked under the weight as the team slowly pulled them toward safety. Tommy's heart pounded as he watched, praying with all his might. Would the dog make it out in time? Would the dog trust him? Would it let him help? Tommy held his breath as he watched from above, his hands clenched into fists. The dog trembled, its frail body shaking. For a moment, it seemed too weak to move. Then, with great effort, it slowly, painfully lifted its head. Its eyes met Jake's, tired, scared, but filled with something else. Hope. Jake stayed perfectly still, his voice soft and soothing. "You're okay now, buddy. I've got you." He reached out a gloved hand, inching closer. The dog hesitated. Then, at last, it leaned into his arms. Tommy gasped, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "He trusts him," he whispered, barely believing it. Jake wasted no time. He held the dog securely and shouted, "Got him! Pull us up!" The team above sprang into action, gripping the rope tightly and working together. The harness held firm as they began to lift, inch by inch, out of the dark pit. The rope creaked under the weight, swaying slightly, but the team stayed steady. Tommy's heart pounded in his chest. Almost there. Almost safe. He clutched his mother's hand, unable to look away. The top of Jake's helmet appeared first, then his shoulders. Tommy saw the limp bundle in his arms. "Come on!" "Just a little more," he whispered desperately.
Then, at last, Jake was out. And the dog was safe. Jake's head appeared over the edge of the well, and in his arms was the dog. A wave of relief washed over the crowd. Cheers erupted, echoing through the trees. Tommy gasped, his hands flying to his mouth as tears blurred his vision. He had been so afraid the dog wouldn't make it, but here it was, alive. "You did it. You saved him," Tommy shouted, jumping up and down. His heart pounded with joy. Jake carefully set the dog down on a soft blanket that one of the firefighters had laid out. The poor thing barely moved, its frail body weak from days without food or water. But it was breathing. It was alive. The dog's tail twitched, just the tiniest wag, but it was enough. Tommy let out a choked laugh, wiping his tears away. "He's happy," he whispered. Jake crouched beside the pup, running a gentle hand over its dirty fur. "He's in rough shape, but he's a fighter," he said. Then he turned to the other firefighters. "He needs a vet, fast. We don't know how long he's been down there." Tommy knelt beside the dog, stroking its muddy head. "You're safe now," he whispered, his voice full of emotion. "You're gonna be okay. We promise." The dog blinked up at him, exhaustion evident in its deep brown eyes. But there was trust there, too. One of the firefighters grabbed a radio. "We'll get him to the nearest animal clinic right away." Tommy felt his mom's warm hand on his shoulder. He looked up at her, his chest tight with overwhelming relief. The little dog had been saved, but his journey wasn't over yet. At the vet's office, the dog lay on the examination table, his tiny body trembling. His fur was matted with dirt, and his ribs showed through his thin frame. Tommy stood beside him, his hands clasped tightly, afraid to move. What if the vet said the dog was too weak to survive? The vet, a kind woman with gentle hands, carefully examined the pup. She checked his heartbeat, lifted his tired paws, and ran her fingers through his fur, searching for any hidden injuries. After a few moments, she gave a small smile. He's very dehydrated and malnourished, but he's a fighter, she said. With proper care, he'll recover. Tommy let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Relief flooded him, but another thought quickly took its place. Where would the dog go now? Would he end up back on the streets, all alone? A lump formed in Tommy's throat as he turned to his mother, his eyes shining with hope. Mom, can we keep him? Please? He has nowhere to go. We saved him, we can't just leave him now. His voice wavered, but he stood his ground. His mom looked down at the little dog, who blinked up at them with tired but trusting eyes. She sighed softly, then met Tommy's gaze. He was holding his breath, waiting. She smiled, ruffling his hair. Let's see what the vet says, she said gently. Tommy's heart pounded. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. He looked back at the dog, determination filling his chest. He wasn't going to give up. One way or another, he would make sure this dog had a home. A week had passed, and the little dog that had once been weak and frightened was now full of life. His fur, once matted and dirty, was now clean and soft. His eyes, which had held only fear, now sparkled with joy. And best of all, he had a name. Lucky. It suited him perfectly. He had been trapped in that dark, lonely well for days, and yet he had survived. He had been rescued, cared for, and now he had something he had never known before, a home. As soon as Tommy stepped outside, Lucky's ears perked up. The little dog let out an excited bark and raced toward him, his tail wagging wildly. Tommy barely had time to kneel before Lucky jumped into his arms, licking his face eagerly. Tommy laughed, hugging him tight. I told you, you'd be okay, he whispered. Lucky barked again, nuzzling into Tommy's chest as if he understood every word. Tommy's parents stood nearby, watching the scene unfold. His mom leaned into his dad, a smile on her face. I think we made the right decision, she said softly. His dad chuckled. Looks like these two were meant to find each other. Lucky wriggled in Tommy's arms before hopping down and running in circles around him, his energy boundless. Tommy grinned and grabbed a small ball from the porch. Ready, boy? Go get it. He threw it across the yard, and Lucky took off, barking happily. As Tommy watched his new best friend play, he felt warmth spread through his chest. Lucky was home. And Tommy? He had found a friend for life. As the days turned into weeks, something beautiful happened. Lucky learned to trust again. At first, he was hesitant, flinching at sudden movements, his body tensing at loud noises. But Tommy was patient. He spoke softly, gave gentle pats, and never rushed him. Every day, Lucky grew braver, and every day, their bond grew stronger. Tommy and Lucky became inseparable. Where Tommy went, Lucky followed. They ran through the backyard, played fetch until the sun dipped below the horizon, and curled up together at night, Lucky's tiny body resting against Tommy's feet. Tommy would read to him, whispering stories about brave heroes and happy endings. Lucky listened, his ears twitching as if he understood every word. One afternoon, Tommy took Lucky to the park. The once timid dog now sprinted through the grass, ears flopping in the wind, his tail wagging so hard his whole body wiggled. He barked happily at the birds, chased butterflies, and tumbled in the soft dirt. Watching him, Tommy's heart swelled with happiness. The little dog who had once been trapped in darkness, weak and afraid, now ran free. His eyes no longer held fear, only joy. He had a home. He had love. And Tommy? He had done something truly special. He had saved a life. He had reached into the darkness and pulled Lucky into the light. And in return, Lucky had filled his world with love, laughter, and a friendship that would last forever. As Tommy knelt down, Lucky leaped into his arms, licking his face with pure happiness. Tommy laughed, hugging him tight. You're safe now, Lucky, he whispered. Forever. One afternoon, as Tommy sat on the porch brushing Lucky's fur, something caught his eye. Nestled beneath the soft strands, hidden near the base of Lucky's neck, was an old, worn collar. Tommy's fingers brushed against it, and his heart skipped a beat. The leather was faded, cracked with age, but the tiny metal tag was still attached. Tommy turned it over, his breath catching as he saw 2 letters engraved into the surface. BR. Tommy's mind raced. Lucky had been trapped in that well for days, maybe even longer. He had been starving, weak, and scared. But, had he once belonged to someone? Had someone been looking for him all this time? A strange feeling settled in Tommy's chest. He loved Lucky. They had been through so much together. The thought of someone taking him away made his stomach twist. But at the same time, what if Lucky had a family out there, missing him? Tommy bit his lip, staring down at his furry friend. Lucky looked up at him with warm, trusting eyes and wagged his tail, completely unaware of the questions swirling in Tommy's head. Tommy turned to his parents, holding up the tag. Mom, Dad. Lucky had an owner before us. His dad frowned, taking the collar and examining it. BR, he murmured. Could be initials. Maybe someone lost him. Tommy's mom placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. We should at least try to find out, she said softly. Tommy swallowed hard. He didn't want to lose Lucky. But deep down, he knew he had to find the truth. Tommy couldn't stop thinking about the initials on Lucky's collar. Who was BR? Did someone out there miss him? He had to know the truth. The next morning, he and his parents set out to search for answers. They walked through town, asking shopkeepers, neighbors, and anyone who would listen. Tommy held Lucky close, hoping someone might recognize him. Have you seen this dog before? Tommy asked the baker, holding up the old collar. The man scratched his head. Sorry, kiddo. Haven't seen a dog like that around here before. At the post office, an elderly woman squinted at the initials. BR, you say? Can't recall anyone with those initials owning a dog. They visited the police station, checked missing pet posters, and even asked at the animal shelter. But no one knew a thing. The mystery deepened. As the sun began to set, Tommy's dad sighed. Well, we tried. Tommy looked down at Lucky, who wagged his tail and licked his hand. A warm feeling spread through Tommy's chest. Maybe the past didn't matter. Maybe what mattered was that Lucky was safe now. That night, as he lay in bed with Lucky curled up beside him, Tommy whispered, No matter where you came from, you're my dog now. Lucky let out a soft sigh and nuzzled closer. Tommy smiled, knowing one thing for sure, Lucky had found his home. One afternoon, just as Tommy was finishing his homework, there was a knock at the door. He didn't think much of it at first, but when his mom answered, the voice that followed made his stomach twist. I saw the posters you put up, the woman said softly. That dog, he looks like my Benny. He went missing weeks ago. Tommy's heart pounded in his chest. Lucky? Someone else's dog? No, it couldn't be. He rushed to the door and saw a woman with gentle eyes and a worried expression. She held a crumpled photo in her hands. Tommy's mom took the picture and examined it. The dog in the photo had the same white patch on its chest. The same warm, brown eyes. Lucky. Tommy's hands curled into fists. His voice felt stuck in his throat. Are you sure? He finally managed to ask. The woman nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. His name is Benny. He's been missing for so long. I searched everywhere. Her voice cracked with emotion. I thought I lost him forever. Lucky sat at Tommy's feet, ears twitching. He looked up at the woman, tilting his head. For a moment, he didn't move. Then, his tail gave the smallest wag. Tommy's heart ached. Lucky had been through so much. He was part of their family now. But what if he really belonged to her? Tommy swallowed the lump in his throat and looked down at Lucky. Could he say goodbye? The woman knelt down, her hands trembling slightly as she reached out. Benny, she called again, her voice thick with emotion. Lucky, Benny, stared at her, his ears twitching. His body remained still, as if his heart was caught between two worlds. For a long moment, he just looked at her, his brown eyes searching. Then, slowly, his tail gave a small wag. Tommy felt his chest tighten. Did Lucky remember her? The woman sniffled, her fingers brushing against Lucky's fur. "Oh, Benny, it's really you," she whispered. "I've missed you so much." Lucky didn't move away. He allowed her to stroke his head, but he didn't leap into her arms the way Tommy had feared. He wasn't shaking with excitement, wasn't whining with recognition. Instead, he stood still, his tail wagging only slightly. Tommy swallowed hard. He had always known that Lucky had a past before he found him. But now, that past had come knocking. His mom placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Tommy," she said softly, "I know this is hard." Tommy bit his lip, blinking fast. Hard? It was impossible. How could he say goodbye to Lucky now? After everything? He looked at Lucky, searching for an answer. What did Lucky want? Did he want to stay? Or did he belong with her? The woman wiped her tears and smiled sadly at Tommy. "I can see how much you love him," she said. "And I can tell he loves you too." Tommy's heart pounded. Was there even a right choice? Tears welled up in Tommy's eyes, blurring his vision as he looked at Lucky. His heart ached at the thought of losing him, but he took a deep breath and swallowed the lump in his throat. With a shaky voice, he whispered, "If he belongs with you, I'll let him go." The woman smiled through her own tears and glanced down at Lucky, waiting for him to make a choice. Tommy held his breath as Lucky turned his head between them, his tail still, his body tense. Then, after a long pause, Lucky did something that made Tommy's heart skip a beat. He took a step closer to Tommy. Then another. And another. Before anyone could say a word, Lucky pressed his small, warm body against Tommy's legs and let out a soft, content sigh. His tail wagged, not just a little, but in full, happy swings. He had made his choice. The woman wiped her eyes and let out a small laugh. "I think he's yours now," she said warmly. "He loves you. And that's what matters." Tommy knelt and wrapped his arms around Lucky, hugging him tight. "You're really staying," he whispered into his fur, feeling Lucky's warmth against him. Lucky licked Tommy's face, his eyes shining with trust and love. The woman crouched beside them, stroking Lucky's back. "He's lucky to have you, Tommy. And I think I'm lucky, too, knowing he found someone who loves him as much as I did." Tommy looked up. "You can visit him anytime," he said softly. She smiled. "That would mean the world to me." And just like that, Lucky was truly home, forever. Tommy wrapped his arms around Lucky, feeling the warmth of his soft fur against his chest. Relief and joy flooded his heart, washing away the fear that he might lose him. "You're my best friend," he whispered, his voice full of emotion. Lucky let out a happy little bark and licked Tommy's cheek, his tail wagging wildly. It was as if he were saying, "Forever." Tommy laughed, wiping away his tears. "I was so scared, buddy. I thought I might have to say goodbye." He looked into Lucky's bright, loving eyes. "But you're home now. Really home." Lucky wiggled in excitement and playfully nuzzled Tommy's hand. The woman who had come searching for Benny smiled warmly. "He's happy with you. That's what matters most." Tommy's parents watched with gentle smiles. His mom placed a hand on his shoulder. "It looks like you two were meant to find each other." Lucky's ears perked up as if he understood every word. He let out a small bark and spun in a joyful circle, making everyone laugh. That evening, Tommy and Lucky curled up on the couch together, the day's emotions still fresh in Tommy's mind. He stroked Lucky's fur, feeling grateful for the bond they had built. "I promise to take care of you, always," Tommy whispered. Lucky nestled closer, letting out a soft sigh of contentment. As Tommy drifted off to sleep, Lucky stayed right by his side, guarding his best friend. No more cold nights alone, no more fear, just love, warmth, and a friendship that would last forever. No matter what, they had each other. And that was all that truly mattered. Lucky had once been trapped in darkness, cold, scared, and alone. But those days were gone. Now, he had warmth, comfort, and a family who loved him. He had a home, a best friend, and a second chance at life. Tommy sat on the front porch, watching Lucky chase butterflies in the golden afternoon light. His tail wagged wildly, his paws kicking up little puffs of dust as he ran. He was free. He was happy. And Tommy couldn't imagine life without him. He smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace in his heart. When he first heard that faint whimper from the well, he had no idea how much his life was about to change. He had thought he was saving Lucky. But in a way, Lucky had saved him, too. "I never knew rescuing you would mean so much," Tommy murmured as Lucky trotted over, flopping down beside him. The little dog rested his head on Tommy's lap, letting out a content sigh. Tommy ran his fingers through Lucky's fur, his heart swelling with love. He had learned something important: sometimes, the greatest rescues don't just save one life. They change hearts forever. Lucky had needed someone to find him, to fight for him, to love him. And Tommy had been that person. But in return, Lucky had given him something just as valuable: a friendship that would last a lifetime. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Tommy hugged Lucky close, knowing one thing for sure. They had found each other for a reason. And no matter what, they would always be together. I hope you found this video interesting. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to leave your questions and thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.